Hello walkers, and welcome back to City Walks, the channel where I take you around various interesting locations and try to find and pick out interesting items and places and little nooks and crannies that might not be on the fancier, glossier tourist track. Pardon me. I'm gonna flip you around real quick. 1, 2, 3. Hi there, my name is Henry. I will be your proxy walker today, your virtual travel guide, and most importantly, your co-discoverer. That means that I'm not an expert in these locations, but I do enjoy finding little things, like I mentioned, and discovering little things and sharing them with you. I'm gonna flip you around again. 1, 2, 3. All right, so off to the right here, we have obviously the Virginia City Information Center, and that's where we are today. And across the road here, which is 287, we have the Thompson Hickman Memorial Library and Museum in an ancient, not an ancient, but an old stone building. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the history of Virginia City that I've recently read up on. But first, I want to thank our Patreon supporters. You guys have really added to the joy of making this channel. You've encouraged me, and you've made traveling across large distances like the state of Montana just a little bit more affordable. So I really do appreciate that, and I appreciate the folks that have done one-time donations through Facebook and Coffee, sorry. And you can find links to those in the description below in the YouTube section. I'm gonna tell you a little bit about the history of Virginia City, because it's interesting, and a little bit about the administration, because I think that's interesting as well. And then I'm just gonna show you a bunch of the old buildings and that sort of thing. If you like these walks and you want to find more walks of similar ilk, you can check out the citywalksvirtualtours.com website, and our walks are by length and by location. You can sort them out, and you can also do a keywords research. You see a sign here for the Brewery Follies. I'm going to talk to you about that towards the end, if all goes according to plan. But I'm going to start out with the fact that Virginia City is actually, even though it's only got a population of 200, it's the county seat of Madison County. Madison County is the home of Ennis and the Madison River and a couple of little towns. I just did a walk in Ennis, and I actually did a walk here in Virginia City several years ago in the winter. And it is empty in the winter except for the 200 residents and people that work for the county. And what else was I going to say? Oh, so this is the Alder Gulch off to the right, and that's going to be important here in a second when I start in on the history. But even better, it is 70 degrees today with Fahrenheit, 21 degrees Celsius. It's about noon in July, and it is just beautiful. The air, the breeze is coming up from that creek bed, and there's just something special about the smell of a creek in Montana. It's got this sweet, cottonwoody smell to it. And it's awesome. So, 1863. I like their little sign here, resisting change since 1863. And historic Nevada City in 1 mile. Anyway, I love that kind of, let's just put that out there, right? You got some more modern stuff on the other side, and where we started up on the hill, sort of towards that way, is going to be Boot Hill. So 1863, May, earlier in the 1860s, Bannock, Montana, not too far, well, fair piece from here, on the other side of Dillon, Montana, they discovered gold. Had a huge gold rush. It was a territorial capital. It was the center of everything. And around about 1863, 2 prospectors discovered gold in Alder Gulch. Other prospectors found out, followed them back, and it was on. The rush was on. This is the old courthouse from 1876. I don't know if that's what they use it for or not. We are going to get up behind there a little bit. That's the plan anyway. I'm gonna sort of go down, up, around, and then back down on the other side of the street. So 1863. So they this place boomed. Everybody started flooding in here. I mean, this is for 1860s in what was at the time Idaho territory. We got a gift shop and a lot of these old buildings. And I'll start to talk about, won't not go into detail of each building, but to talk about why they're still here. Anywho, they formed this town, and they named the town Varina City after the First Lady of the Confederacy at the time. Civil War was going. We got a awesome horse-drawn stagecoach coming up the road here. We'll take a look at that. Anyway, a judge from Connecticut didn't really care for that name, found it offensive. And even though this territory was technically in the Union, there was a lot of Confederate sympathizers here. And so anyway, the judge changed the name to Virginia City, and that's why the name is what it is. Also in 1863, they had a lot of road agents because they had all this cash flowing through here, all the gold, and they had a lot of people. It killed like 100 people, the road agents did, in several months, like 6 months before the Montana Vigilantes got together, formed. There was no real law or courts here. It was Idaho territory. Everything was really, oh my gosh, this homemade ice cream. The waffle cones are baking in there. Whew, delicious. Any case, there was no real law enforcement here. And they formed this vigilante group, and they started hanging road agents. No trials or anything. And in fact, they hung the sheriff of Bannock because he was apparently, or supposedly, leading one of the bands of road agents. And there's some dispute about that by historians. But in any case, he didn't make it. Hi there. Old-fashioned candy shop. Awesome. Little gallery here. And so between fall of 1863 and January of 1864, they hung 15 road agents. And I guess that sort of settled things down. And eventually the gold played out here. And they, what am I saying here? And then the railroad that came through bypassed Virginia City. Virginia City, became, look at this little museum. I'm not going to go in because I feel like maybe I don't want to pay to go in. In any case, it looks kind of cool. And I hope you're enjoying these old wooden buildings as I talk. It became the Montana Territory capital until 1875. So, we've got this little town and it's the capital of the territory. It means it's still, as I mentioned, the capital of Madison County. The county seat is what we call it here. And then the gold sort of played out, and until we'll skip ahead quite a ways and get to the 1940s. So there was, I hear a train whistle. There's an Alder Gulch narrow gauge railroad that I think either comes up here or goes down to Nevada City. I'll tell you about that in a little while. And then World War II, so there's a little bit of a resurgence. World War II came along, and they didn't want people mining gold for whatever reasons. I know why there was a resurgence, because in the 30s they changed the dollar to have a little less gold, which somehow drove up the price. I don't understand the economics of that, but that's all right. Anyway, so then it was sort of, people were starting to disassemble these old buildings and take them away. and reuse the wood and that sort of thing until Charles and Sue Bovey decided to start buying these things up, these old buildings, and preserving them and they kind of ran it as a western town, kind of a ghost town. Here we go. Charles and Sue Bovey, Bovey. Here we'll poke our head into here, and we can do this now. Well, I'll get to that in a second. So they started buying this stuff up and preserving it, which was awesome, all on their own dollar. And you know, it's not like they were making a ton of money in the 1950s in rural Montana. What is going on here? It's like some sort of preservation. Kind of sketchy and super dark. So I'm just gonna, super dark. And you can see the old wood logs of the neighbor and the chinking in there. Anyway, they did that, and then I think they might have done it with Nevada. I can't remember the origin of Nevada City. That's about a mile down the road. It's dry goods stored. Eventually, this federal government, look at these all this stuff. I love it. Eventually, the U.S. federal government was actually looking at making it into a national park or national historic site. Never quite happened, and then the Montana state government started to buy up stuff, and now it's all administered. These some old gold scales. I guess that's what that is. You can smell the old wood and plaster. You can see the plaster's cracking in places. Anyway, now the National Park Service helps administrate it, but it's a cooperative effort between several different entities and agencies. Let's go into this toy store real quick. I should have been paying more attention, sorry. Oh, these old wagons. My dad used to have some of these, similar. I used to love to play with them at my grandmother's house. Old toys. I am talking more. I'm trying to talk less on these videos, but this one, I know some stuff, and it's interesting to me, so I'm gonna keep talking. In any case, and we'll come back down the other side of the street here in a little while. That's who's administering it now. A lot of these historical buildings, so you can go inside. Not everything, they're open. And what I kind of like about these is that, as we saw, they still have stuff in them, which has been collected and saved. Unlike Bannock, which is another amazing old west town, but they don't have stuff in there. And I've done a walk in Bannock. I encourage you to take a look at that. It's super cool. An old mercantile. I love that they have all this stuff still here. I just think that's really cool. All right. And they've got these wooden boardwalks. And obviously there's some galleries and tourist shops and that sort of thing. But it's just a really interesting old west town. I think that train whistle, yeah, here's the narrow gauge off to the left here. We'll go take a look at that and get back up into that neighborhood. An old sod roof cabin there. It's being turned into a gallery. It looks like like clothes and stuff. See if I can get across the road here without being squished. All right, so this is the Virginia City Coffee Depot, and I don't know if they still run the train through here. I think they do. And then you go down another mile to Nevada City, which is, I believe, not a real town. They've basically collected a bunch of old buildings, the way I understand it, and turned it into kind of a facsimile of a ghost town. Still very cool. And I believe that there's a narrow gauge railway that comes up here and takes you down there and down along Alder Gulch, if you want to. It's for tours, not for transportation. To the south here, hopefully this isn't going to take me away from where I want to go. To the south here is a gravelly range, and there's the Gravelly Range Road, which goes back all the way south down to the Centennial Valley, up around 9,000 feet. It's a dirt road, not always in the best condition, but still beautiful, beautiful. If you can get up there and go drive it, it can be just stunning. Not super dramatic in terms of mountains, but still very beautiful rolling landscape and high country. And the reason I'm coming back up here and doing it this way is because I want to show you guys some of the other old stuff, not on the main drag. Here we got the stagecoach again, taking people for a tour. And these, I guess, are cabins, maybe rental cabins. And I don't know if this must be a artificial lake. I'll just give you a pond. It looks almost like a beaver pond. Oh, that looks super fun. Huh. Very cool. All right, we'll continue on here. This old house, meeting hall, must have been, hi there, must have been lifted and put on these cinder blocks. I guess my point is that there's other historic old houses back here besides just the main street, and it's really kind of neat. I mean, surely some places are missing now. They were taken down, but still a lot of what it must have been like. You know, it's easy to imagine. Huh? Looks like you can maybe stay there. That's kind of cool. A couple horses. I suspect during the gold rush days there was must have been a fair number of wall tents being used as well. This old building has a sign that says, I'm not going to read it, but Tootle, Leach and Company Warehouse. I love that name, Tootle. And here's the Governor Marr cabin rental. He was the territorial governor and I think the state governor. He was an Irishman, referred to as the Immortal Irishman in at least one book that I'll try to put a link to. And I've mentioned this other book in several walks, but I think it's called it's called A Well-Ordered Hanging, and it's about the Vigilante movement in the 1863, 1864, and then beyond, actually. There's, in fact, it's like, something, three digits or three things. It's 3 something 75 or something, which was somebody scrolled that on the door of certain people in Helena, which was interpreted as their required end date in terms of getting out of town. And it's now the Montana Highway Patrol's, it's on their seal. And there's not debate, but there's people that are not quite comfortable with a law enforcement agency using something or a symbol of a vigilante mob. But I'll leave that for another day. I think I see these houses, and they are small houses, but compared to what we have today, right? It's unusual for someone to build that. There's a tiny house movement, I guess, but this was normal. This was a normal-sized house, and I think I like having a bigger house when I can have one. But I pretty quickly adapt to the smaller houses, smaller spaces I've lived in. Church, St. Paul's Episcopal. Some more historic buildings up there. We'll go up one more block here before we'll go down to Main Street. And we're going to go back down Main Street. Same direction we did before, but on the other side. And then we'll go over to Alder Creek and down in there. And we'll end up kind of near the Brewery Follies that I told you about at the beginning. And I'll talk about that a little bit. As you can tell, it's pretty steep in here. This isn't, but off to the left and right. And I always marvel at places like this where people are walking up and down all the time, every day. They just must have incredible calves and quads. You know, they do that a lot in Italy on these steep cliffs. Like, what is it? It's Amalfi. It's like that. Excuse me. And all around kind of Sorrento, that whole coast, that peninsula. I think there's some handicap accessible parking back there, which I think is a library, but we're going to go back this way. This old place, I love it. The town was added to the national list of historic places in the 1960s, I think. I think the bar scene from Little Big Man was filmed here. A couple other films. Surprisingly, not that many though, given how cool it is. It's looks like an old military Jeep. Well, it might be one of those new, there's an Indian company that makes them that look like that now. I think they're out of India. This is the old courthouse. Okay. Not too far up on that ridge somewhere is the Boot Hill Cemetery, or what they call Boot Hill. There's also a baseball fields and stuff up there, where I mentioned they hung, or they buried a bunch of the road agents, the bandits. Starting to warm up a little bit. The sun here can be quite strident, I don't know, angry, brutal. Just want to give you another shot of down here. This is Oro y Plata is the state motto. You see that on the sign here, the Elks Lodge. Make our way down this wooden boardwalk. Road Agents Roost. Not sure why it's German fare in particular.
Yeah, yeah.
Who lied to you, bro? Who told you that was a good look?
Yeah.
Cool. I think the torch is no longer in operation. It says it's for sale. They've got a electric vehicle charging station here at one of the public lots. If you're driving in public restrooms at the community center, if you're driving an EV, we'll get a better look at the stagecoach coming up here. Looks like they do historic fire truck tours as well. Next one at 1 o'clock. Looks like fun though, huh? Artifacts. Here we go. Super cool. This is the Pioneer Bar. Still in operation. Cafe for lunch. Oh, here we go. Oh, outdoor seating too. Nice. Pardon me. Bob's Place. Ooh, that looks good too.
You want to go in and we'll sit right here?
Another store. It's nice and cool in here. I love the details of this. This looks like it had women's shoes, all sorts of patterns and materials, and ribbons and that sort of thing. Very cool. T-shirt shop. An assayer's office. I don't know if you'll be able to see it enough in here. Really dark in here. But I think they were in charge of measuring gold content and that sort of thing. This is kind of a grocer's shop. Look at all the canned goods. And they would have had dry goods down in those cases. Steakhouse. I don't think this is open, or maybe it's only open at night. If you can see it in there. Yeah, they start at 5. Hope you don't mind me ducking into these stores. I think it's interesting. It's a clothier's store. Tailors, I guess. Those old coats and jackets. And this is how people dress. Look at the striped pants. Those are cool. I think one of the reasons they can maintain these, here's a boots and shoes place, maintain these places because it's so dry here. They, I don't know, I guess this was a bar or dance hall maybe, or house of ill repute. Shoes. Anyway, I suspect that's why they don't get a lot of mold. Old-time family photos. That looks fun. Look at these. We did those one time. It was, my wife loved it. Still does. Anyway, sometimes I feel like, oh, here's some horseback riders. Nice. Sometimes I feel like I subconsciously need to fill the silence. An old blacksmith shop. Some runners for a sleigh. I guess you can put those on your wagon in the winter, maybe. Carriage. Huh. I don't know. Great outdoor dining space, but I guess this is temporarily closed. Opera House and Live Theater, interesting. The Mummy of Madison County. Super fun. Looks like they got it There's a play going on there right now. What we're going to do now is drop down to the Gulch. And I'll give you another look up Main Street here. I'm hoping, I seem to remember there was a road over here, down here somewhere. It wouldn't be the first time I took a wrong turn though, and I had to double back. At one point, when the easier placer goal, that stuff you can pan for and that sort of thing, played out, they came back over after when the gold price went back up and started dredging. And you can see they dredged this whole valley. And the way that works is they put I believe, is they put this barge, this big machine, and it excavates and sorts and digs and puts it through the, what do you call that, the rocker sift or rocker, I forget what it's called. Anyway, and it just kind of, and then it kicks all the waste stuff out the back. And so it kind of has this pond, this is my understanding of it, the pond that just moves forward down the valley as you go, or up the valley, as it were, and leaves all those tailings, which is just this gravel, really, behind. These houses on the left are obviously new. I have to say, as fun as these houses are, I'm sure they're not particularly warm in the winter, or easy to keep and maintain. There's something to be said about modern buildings, new builds, for sure. That's the Sim Ferguson cabin. That said, these are historic buildings and people are living in them. Pretty interesting. Got some horses grazing here. Love it. There's a speed bump up here. I have to wonder how fast people were going on this gravel road to make people. I can't imagine this little hump is that much different than the general condition of the road, but I guess people like to live in safe streets, so more power to them. Hi there. Good, how are you? Oh, I just got a camera. I film city walks. I walk around places, put it on YouTube, and people watch. Have a good one. You too. Nice guy. Sitting on his porch. I bet these places are just down in this little creek bottom. So pleasant. can see some signs for Boot Hill. We're on Cover Street. This is this white line, I believe, is electric fence, and it's a easy way to keep livestock in an area without having to build a permanent or large fence. Some newer houses, maybe a mix up here on the hillside. And then, of course, the back of some of these older buildings. Vigilante house. Seems debatable as to whether that's an old one. New windows, anyway. You can see it's not really much of a creek, at least in summer. And I have to wonder, I guess prospectors prospect, they come in here and they try places, but what would make you think it'd be gold here or even to look here? You can buy a historic home. Russell Baker House. Oh, it smells good though, that creek. A little cool air. Oh, you can borrow this one too. I don't know if that's historic. Kind of looks old. Huh. It's like maybe an old carriage house of some sort. I think this is a public parking area. The difference between the water-cooled shade and the direct sun is significant. Look at this old place. Old concrete building. All right, what is this? I can't remember if this is what I'm looking for or not. I think it's not. It also looks kind of cool. So, oh yeah, it is. Okay. There, the Brewery Follies. So this is a public theater troupe comedy variety show And you can, they operate all through the summer, and you can go see shows there, and apparently it's a lot of fun. My dad's gone. I've never actually been. It's in an old brewery. But I also want to show you these old buildings. I'm going to go around the back side as well. Here's the creek, Alder Creek. It's a tiny little creek. And I don't know if these are legit originals or somebody put them up for fun or looks. But I suspect that's the case. But let's go around the other side. And so it was in the Gilbert Brewery, apparently. And we'll give you another look here. I guess there's a 4 o'clock show. Let me get back. All right, so I've heard it's a lot of fun, so if you get a chance, I encourage you to do that. I'm going to try and do too many things at once, researching. Let's just duck up here real quick, because I think this is just housing, actually. And they must have put those facades on the back for decoration. There we go. All right, let's head back up to the main street. Actually, I'm gonna turn this way because they've got this beautiful little park here that I suspect not many people use, but it'd be a great place for a picnic. Look how grassy and shady it is, and right next to the creek. It's the H.S. Gilbert Brewery Park. There's an information sign here that was probably pretty cool, and we'll go from there. We're gonna come back up here to, I think it's 287, the main road through town. And we're at, 48 minutes here. Wallace Street, I guess. And I just want to thank you guys for joining me on this walk through Virginia City, Montana. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope it wasn't too much talking or too much interior stores, or not too little either. In any case, I want to thank you for joining me again, and I will be walking again soon. I'm not sure from where I will be filming, but oh, look at the mountains out there. Anyways, I hope this gave you a good, nice little taste of Virginia City and the old West Montana. Until next time, keep on stepping.